Back in October, I made a video titled I Played 100 Days in Stardew Valley, and you guys loved it. So, I made another one. In the last 100 days of this playthrough, I had a list of goals for myself to complete, and this time is no different. In the next 100 days, I would like to accomplish finding all of the star drops, catching all of the fish, gain access to the walnut room, fill both of the museums, build all of the obelisks, complete the missing bundle, complete all monster slayer goals, and complete the skill mastery cave. Can she do it? You'll just have to keep watching to find out. If you haven't seen the first 100 days of this playthrough, the video link is in the description. Day 1 started on Winter 17. After rolling out of bed, I did the usual farm chores and took the day to complete some quests around town. Then, it was time for the night market. I immediately darted to the submarine to catch 3 fish I was missing from my collection: the spookfish, the midnight squid, and the blobfish. They can only be caught in this submarine, so I was pleased to be able to get all 3. On day 2, I got a letter saying I was Demetrius' secret gift giver this year. It was also time for my second void chicken to hatch. His name is Carpet Fiber. Not entirely sure why I incubated him in the first place, but we love him. Then, I spent the evening creating some more crop fields on the farm. I had some starfruit ready on day 3, then I finished the outline for the tree tapper farm. The rest of the day was spent getting the ore for the tappers in question. I killed any death sprite that was in my way. On day 4, I dedicated some time to catching the glacier fish. It took me a few attempts, but I finally caught it. This is the first legendary fish I've caught, ever. Oh! I spent the rest of the day at the beach. After it was dark enough, I caught my first squid. I passed out at 2 a.m. on the way home. Day 5 was a wine day. I stopped by Clint's to grab my iridium watering can, and I set off to Ginger Island. On my way to the volcano, I dug up 5 golden walnuts. The goal of the volcano is to reach level 10, where there is an enchantment room. You start at floor 1 each time you enter, and there are no ladders for a quick exit. You have to walk all the way back through each floor. I came here looking for walnuts, and walnuts I found. You can also find a currency known as cinder shards. They're good for trading with the dwarf and enchanting tools later on.
Cinder crown. I need that.
I wasn't going to make it home that night, so I made use of my tent. I dedicated day 6 to the volcano, determined to reach the end. Along the way, I looked for the walnuts and journal scraps. At exactly midnight, I reached the top of the volcano. I grabbed the free walnuts and opened the treasure chest to find a prismatic shard. I took it to enchant my sword and got the Crusader trait.
Crusader?
This will deal 50% more damage to skeletons, void spirits, and ghosts. It will also allow me to slay mummies without the use of a bomb. I used another tent after leaving the volcano, but apparently I placed it a second too late because I passed out trying to get into it. I started with a little bit of farm maintenance on day 7. Then I gathered some metal bars before running back to Ginger Island. I gave my walnuts to this parrot in exchange for them to move the turtle. After he's gone, I have access to the west side of the island. Before I entered, I fished in the ocean to find the lionfish. Then I made my way over and fished in the river to catch the blue discus. Now that the fishing was out of the way, I could walk around the farm collecting walnuts. At the top of the farm is a memory puzzle. The crystals will light up in a random order, and I have to memorize the pattern. I was able to beat it pretty easily. In return, I got 3 more golden walnuts. That night I crashed in a tent on the farm. On day 8, I went down to the beach and broke the mussel rocks. Then I went up to the northern part of the island to fix the bridge to the dig site. Immediately, I found a journal scrap and a fossilized leg. Towards the top was a rock wall. I placed a bomb in front of the rocks and waited. Out came Professor Snail. He lives in the tent outside of the volcano. Inside is his Museum of Bones, except he doesn't have any at the moment. Guess whose job it is to find them all? After that, I collected some more walnuts and got to work clearing out some land. Then I planted some pineapple seeds I had. While exploring more of the farm, I found an old lady named Birdie. Her husband shipwrecked here, and she wanted me to find a lost locket of his. She handed me a war memento in hopes that it would help me. To end the night, I did a little bit of fishing. Day 9 was the Feast of the Winter Star, and before attending, I found a new duckling in my coop, which I named Mirror. I arrived and gave my secret gift to Demetrius, and of course he loved it.
I bet you love it. I hope you love it, Demetrius.
This triggered my Secret Santa to come forward.
Wiggly! What'd you get me, pal? Oh. You really shouldn't have.
Day 10 was very boring. I started with greenhouse maintenance, then I spent the majority of the day underground gathering gold and miscellaneous gems. On day 11, I had an itch to switch up the farm a little bit, so I cleared out some of the random trees and I relocated my animal barns. I spent the rest of this day in the mines as well. I'm going to need a lot of ore for the projects I have in mind. Day 12 was all about getting prepped and ready for spring. I started by collecting my wine and making more kegs. Then, I lined up all of my crop fields and crafted more sprinklers. I took a quick break to stop by the traveling cart. Then I continued pathing around the barn and getting my sprinklers down. I passed out that night on the way to bed. I was very excited for spring to arrive. More specifically, the spring showers. To get married in Stardew, you must buy a mermaid's pendant on a rainy day. If you remember from my last 100 days, I was unable to get married because I failed to buy the mermaid's pendant. So, I used my last truffle oil to create a rain totem and popped it on the last day of fall. Unbeknownst to me, rain totems don't work on the last day of the season, so I failed to get married to Emily. Because of this, I'm determined to get married as soon as possible. I had a not-so-familiar face on my door on day 13. This is Kent, informing me of his existence. Everyone say hello to Kent! After our meet and greet, I got to prepping the ground for crops. My crops of choice this season were rhubarbs and coffee beans. I also had plans to buy strawberries later in the season.
Why are you trying to sleep in front of my greenhouse?
That night doing a gift run, I ran into Clint. He was feeling rather sorry for himself because he has no game. On day 14, I planted some more starfruit seeds in the greenhouse. Out in the fields, I planted some more coffee beans, which, in hindsight, I regret doing. Although, now that I could make some truffle oil, I crafted another rain totem and popped it immediately. After that, I dedicated some time inside the mines to fish. 3 of the fish I need can only be found on the water floors. This is how my fish collection is looking so far. Not bad! Before bed, I ran down to the waterfall in Cindersap to catch a goby. I didn't make it to bed that night, but it was still a win. While I was asleep, a strike of lightning hit the abandoned Joja Center. The first thing I did on day 15 was sprint to the beach and purchase the mermaid's pendant. Then, I found Emily in her room and told her I could take her away from all of this. Of course she accepted, and the wedding was set for spring 6. I was elated, and I celebrated by fishing up in the mountain lake. That night, I was visited by the witch again. Just what I needed.
For real?
Day 16 was another rainy day. I spent my morning tending to the animals and I named my new duck Dinner Plate. I was ready to double the truffle production, so I stopped by Marnie's to get another pig. I named this one Roku Remote.
We got Roku Remote.
After getting bored on the farm, I traveled to Ginger Island to plant some more miscellaneous seeds and awkwardly speak with Leo. Then, I donated some leg bones I'd found to Professor Snail. On day 17, I paid a visit to the Skull Caverns for the first time in a while. I was on the hunt for ores and monster loot. I was able to find a prehistoric floor and got a dinosaur egg, but besides that, I wasn't having great luck, so I switched to the regular mines to finish the day. I awoke to my wedding ceremony on day 18, and it was beautiful. After that, I ran to Clint's shop to rub it in his face, and I guess I cracked some treasure troves while I was there too. I was able to donate a bunch of stuff to the museum, setting me ahead by a great deal. At home, I continued to reproduce more ancient fruit seeds and plant them in the greenhouse. That evening was all about wine production. Finally, I dropped by the oasis to get more starfruit seeds for Ginger Island.
I opened my door to Gunther on day 19.
He commended me for all of my great donations and rewarded me with an old rusty key. My plan for the day was to spend most of it on Ginger Island. Once I got to the island, I started spacing my sprinklers. Unfortunately, I forgot like half of my tools, so I had to work around some of the stuff on the ground. After that, I went looking for the gem bird. I finished the day by fishing for some walnuts and a midnight carp. While I was asleep, I was visited by the witch again. 2 times in 1 week is diabolical work. I went up to the Bone Museum on the morning of day 20 and donated some stuff I had. Then I answered some trivia questions in exchange for golden walnuts. There are 22 purple flowers blooming on the island and 18 starfish. After that, I went looking for more golden walnuts. I found a gold coconut too. With 21 walnuts in my pocket, it was enough to pay the birds to rebuild the farmhouse. No more sleeping in tents. On day 21, I did some more walnut fishing around the island and stopped at the dig site river to fish up some bones I needed.
Oh, nice.
I immediately turned those in and then went to the east side to look for the mummified frog. I found it immediately.
Well, that was easy. Oh my gosh.
I am the frog whisperer. I turned that one in too and decided it was time to go home. There, I went through my loot and read journal scraps I'd picked up. For the rest of the night, I collected some cranberries and jam and decided that the preserved shards just weren't cutting it. Day 22 was very stressful for me. This is because I had dedicated this day to be the day I catch the legend. I had some trouble trying to catch him at first.
I'm gonna crash out.
I casted the hook many times and lost it many times.
What the?
But after attempting the trap bobber method, I was finally able to catch him.
Not even Willie could catch. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that.
While I was up here, I stopped by Robin's in the evening to get a shed built. After I went to bed that night, I had finally reached level 10 in foraging. I chose the tapper profession. I began day 23 by chopping down most of my tapper trees again because I'm always desperate for wood. But don't worry, I replanted them. Then, I went over to Clint's shop to break open the coconut and some artifact troves I had. While I was there, I got to read a book titled The Book of Mysteries. So now, I'm cool and mysterious. After remembering I had the rusty key, I used it to gain access to the sewers. Down here, I met a shadow guy named Krobus. He sold a small selection of obscure items, but I only had my eyes on the star drop. This is my 3rd star drop out of 7. While I was here, I entered the bug lair, and then immediately exited the bug lair. Back above ground, I ran into Kent, and I gave him the war memento I got from Birdie. In return, he gave me a jar of gourmet tomato salt. I gave this salt to Gus, and he gave me the Stardew Valley rose. I have to give this to Sandy, but I'm not doing all that today. Instead, I went down to the Cindersap Forest and entered the Mastery Cave. This addition to the 1.6 update allows you to earn skill points after you max out. With those extra skill points, you can claim skill mastery and earn perks related to that skill. My shed was ready on day 24, but I handed it right back off to Robin for an upgrade. After that, I stopped by the abandoned Joja Mart and came across another Junimo bundle titled the Missing Bundle. Then I took a trip to the desert to give Sandy the Stardew Valley rose, and she gave me an advanced TV remote. I walked into George's house to give him the remote and got hit with a Harvey cutscene. I assured him that he's totally qualified to do his job and taught George how to use the remote. He gave me an old Arctic shard he found working in the mines long ago. I took this to the wizard and waited patiently until he gave me a worm? I can't believe you, bro! I took this worm over to my man Willie, and in return he gave me a locket he found on the beach. This was the locket that Birdie had been looking for. So I thanked him and continued to the saloon where I gave out some gifts to the townsfolk. Day 25 was another wine day, and my keg collection was bigger than ever. Today was also the day of the Egg Festival. So I prepped the empty crop fields, and I crafted as many speed fertilizers as I could. I got a little distracted at the shop and ended up buying a stuffy, but I got back on track and purchased a ridiculous amount of strawberries. Now it was time for the annual egg hunt, and I claimed my crown again for the second year in a row. After the festivities, I scrambled to get down as many seeds as I could. Day 26 was all about crops.
First, I harvested all of the rhubarbs I'd planted earlier in the season.
Then I used the space to plant the gargantuan amount of strawberries I had purchased. Then I multiplied more ancient fruit seeds and planted those in the greenhouse. I finished the night by planting even more strawberries. My shed upgrade was complete on day 27, so I picked up all of my kegs and transported them into the shed. I have quite a few kegs, but I still have plenty of space in here for more. Today was the start of the 3-day desert festival, so I made my way over. I started with betting over a monster race.
I was rooting for the cactus crawler, but unfortunately, he took the L. This is not good. My guy certainly lost.
Then I picked up my free cactus from the Cactus Man.
Yeah.
After that, I was given a makeover by my lovely wife, but unfortunately, this is just not my style.
Oh, wow.
On my way to the Skull Caverns, I was presented with 2 challenges. I chose the one challenging me to reach floor 30.
Easy.
If I complete this challenge, I will be rewarded with calico eggs, a special type of currency only used during the desert festival. While I was in the mines, I made pretty good timing and I even completed my Bat Slayer goal. As soon as the clock struck midnight, I hit the 30th floor and completed the challenge. I had a bunch of strawberries to water on day 28, and then I revived my tapper farm. After all of my chores were complete, I was able to attend the second day of the desert festival.
Oh, you're feeling fast today now, aren't you?
I decided to take the same 30-floor challenge as yesterday and breeze right through it. I did so well, in fact, that I made it to floor 75 before deciding to leave. Day 29 was the final day for the desert festival. I started it down at Emily's booth and she nailed it this time.
Oh, I'll leave the skirt on. I'll leave the skirt on for now. Wait, why do my legs look like that?
I wasn't bothered to complete a Skull Caverns run today, so I went back to Stardew and farmed some ore in the regular caves instead. I started day 30 by giving Emily a gift, and I finally got sprinklers installed on my strawberry seeds. On the theme of automating my job, I went down to Marnie's to purchase 2 auto grabbers. I put them inside my barns to gather eggs and milk for me. Later that afternoon, I visited Willie's shop and took a ride to Ginger Island. While I was here, I found the fossilized ribs I needed for the Bone Museum. Then, I went to the volcano to look for walnuts. On day 31, I finally had the tools to finish clearing out my island farm. I laid some pathing around the field to keep it organized. Later, I dug up some cool stuff on the southern part of the island. On my way home that night, I stopped by the saloon to remind people that I still exist.
Why do I have so many hearts with Demetrius?
Finally, I put down a fish tank in my house to display my legendary fish. I had a partial strawberry harvest on day 32. The rest of this day was very uneventful. I just spent some more time in the mines gathering copper, iron, and gold. The rest of my strawberries came up on day 33, and I converted more ancient fruit into seeds. I had some business to take care of on Ginger Island, so I headed back to look for the last gem bird. Once I have all of the gems, I can finish the statues in the jungle. On the island farm, I had nearly a whole field of starfruit. In the process of harvesting them, I pulled up 4 golden walnuts. I replanted all of the seeds I could. Then after that, I walked up to the walnut door on the west side of the island to find out I only had half of the walnuts I needed. So I got to work, looking around Ginger Island for more golden walnuts. Just before the night ended, I went home. I woke up to a pleasant gift on day 34. Emily and I had finally made it to 12.5 hearts, so she gifted me a star drop. Only 3 more to go. I spent the morning harvesting all of the late blooming strawberry seeds. Then I tended to my animals. The auto grabber is really coming in clutch here. Then I decided that the void eggs were not the move, so I sold one of my void chickens. R.I.P. carpet fiber. Later that day, I had some wine ready to be collected. About midday, I took a boat ride to Ginger Island and found the final gem bird sitting on the beach. I placed the final gem on the podium and was rewarded with 5 golden walnuts. When I got back to the farm, I planted all of the starfruit I bought. After that, I broke some mussel nodes and got 2 more walnuts. Now, I had just enough to build the beach resort. I was back in Stardew on day 35, and I collected oak resin from my tapper farm. Then, I made some more ancient fruit seeds, and bought a silly trash can upgrade from Clint. I spent the rest of the night in the mines because the sprinklers won't craft themselves. On day 36, I crafted some kegs and immediately placed them in the shed. I had another partial field of strawberries to pick, and once that was done, I visited the train station for some wood. I'm gonna label the rest of this day as expansion time. I'm talking about the tapper farm, the keg production, and the ancient fruit farm. Then it was crop field expansion. I started day 37 by clearing out some wood and grass on the bottom right part of my farm. This is a screenshot of how my farm looks at the moment. I want to put fish ponds down here. I mapped out as many 5x5 squares as I could and was pretty surprised with the amount of room I had. That night, I visited the Mastery Cave once again. I had enough points to unlock 2 of the 5 skill masteries. I chose foraging and fishing. Overnight, my pigs had given birth to a baby. I thought it was only fitting if a Roku remote gave birth to Netflix. I awoke to more strawberries on day 38. I also found a new duckling inside the coop. I named him Newt. That afternoon, I made my way down to the bug lair to find the Dark Talisman. In the process, I was able to knock out the bug slayer goal, so that was pretty cool. Before I left, I fished off the edge to catch the slime jack. After I left the bug lair, I had my heart set on catching the mutant carp. It was pretty easy now that I have the 2 trap bobbers set up. Here's just a quick update on the fish collection. On day 39, I plopped the mutant carp into its new home and went to the desert to fish for the scorpion carp. This one was a little bit finicky. After I left the desert, I stopped by Clint's to open some artifact troves. I got 4 things worth donating. On the way through town, I stumbled upon the calendar and saw that it was Emily's birthday. I accidentally missed it last year, but I plan on making it up to her. Later that afternoon, I went to Ginger Island to visit Birdie and return the pirate's locket. She gave me 5 golden walnuts in return. Then, I visited the Bone Museum to complete the snake fossil.
As a reward, I got a mango tree and 3 more golden walnuts.
Finally, I stopped by the Pirate's Cove to fish for a stingray. I was back in Stardew for day 40. Since it is the last day of spring, I needed to prep my farm for summer. This is the final strawberry harvest, so I took the opportunity to realign some of my fields. I ended spring by staring into my fish tank, pondering. I kicked off day 41 by removing all of the coffee plants from the ground. They're just not good. My first stop of the day was at the Oasis, where I bought a bunch of starfruit from Sandy. Then I stopped by Pierre's to get melons, hops, cabbage, and a few other odds and ends. I wasted absolutely no time getting the seeds in the ground. Then I passed out in the middle of the field. I only had a few more seeds to plant on day 42. After that was finished, I collected my wine in the shed. I spent a few hours in the middle of the day chopping down some wood so I could make more kegs. That evening, I went up to the train station and approached the cave. Then, I dropped the Dark Talisman into its spot. Upon entering the cave was a teleporter that takes you to the witch's swamp. I need to get inside the witch's hut, but to do that, I must distract this henchman first. I gave him some void mayonnaise, and that seemed to do the trick. But before I entered, I stopped to fish for the void salmon. When I got inside, I found the wizard's magic ink. I took the teleporter in the corner of the room and it took me back to the wizard's basement? Imagine if your ex-wife still had a key to your house. Wild! I returned the ink to the wizard and he seemed genuinely thankful for the first time. It was rainy on day 43. and as I went to leave the house, I was stopped by Emily. She asked me to bring home 200 pieces of fiber for a project she was working on. I will do anything for you. I used that morning to plant the extra starfruit seeds I had. Then I went down to the mines to look for gold, and now fiber. I got up bright and early on day 44 to harvest my ancient fruit seeds in the greenhouse. Then I grabbed the fiber I collected and gave it to Emily. After that, it was time for me to head to Ginger Island. While I was here, I spent some time collecting resources from the volcano. That night, I planned on visiting the Pirates Cove to play some darts, but I missed the memo that they don't come out in the rain. Honestly, I get it.
I woke up on the island on day 45, then visited the cave above my farm. Inside is the gourmand frog.
He used to farm these lands many years ago, but is now too old. He asked me to plant a melon so that he could observe it one last time. Sure, dude. Whatever makes you happy. I did a little more walnut hunting after that, but I was still denied access to the walnut room. Later in the day, I visited the dig site to pan in the river. I'm looking for a fossilized tail, but no luck today. I did more walnut hunting in the evening and was able to get my first dragon tooth. These come in handy just a little bit later. After exiting the volcano, I gave the parrot some walnuts to build me an island trade shop. I have my eyes on the banana sapling. I finished the night back in the volcano looking for dragon teeth. On day 46, I had some starfruit ready for me, but this time, I replaced them with ancient fruit seeds. I found some more journal scraps digging in the fiber and consequently another walnut. I went back into the volcano today and found the dragon tooth just chilling on the ground, so it was already a good day. Later, I decided I was going to give the Pirates Cove another shot, and since it was an even day and not rainy, they were there! Once I got a hang of the darts game, it was actually really fun. I played and won all 3 games, and walked away 3 golden walnuts richer. Day 47 was the day I decided I was going to catch the crimson fish. I was anticipating a battle, but I ended up catching him on my second cast.
Okay, well, that was easy.
I had to stop at Willie's to get a second fish tank for him. Then I spent the rest of the day fishing in the ocean for seaweed. The goal was to build a fish pond. When I got home, I placed my fish tank and admired my fish. My attention was pulled to the living room after Emily walked in, and she told me she had a present for me. Emily sewed me a complete outfit.
Look at, oh my gosh, this is so cute. Guys, okay. This is, I will keep this shirt on for now.
I plucked my sweet gemberry out of the greenhouse on day 48 and ran straight to Old Man Cannoli. After I gave him the berry, he gave me a star drop. Then, I went down to Robin's shop to purchase a fish pond. I spent the rest of the day on Ginger Island, where I had a huge starfruit harvest. I continued replacing them with ancient fruit. I got a free emerald on the north side of the island and went panning in the river again. I didn't find the tail, but I'll take some iridium.
Okay.
Finally, I went to the volcano to look for more dragon teeth.
Yes! 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 This guy! That's who he reminds me of! Z from Nickelodeon! Oh my god!
I woke up on the island on day 49, and I started by filling my crab pots. I need to start checking them daily if I want to fill out my fish collection. I ventured back into the volcano on the hunt for dragon teeth and walnuts. I also found another journal scrap revealing a hidden walnut spot. By the end of my run, I had enough dragon teeth to buy the banana sapling from the island trader. I kinda wish I hadn't bought it, but the damage has already been done. I immediately planted it on the bottom of my farm. It was another rainy day on day 50, and that means another free gem. I tried to enter the walnut room again, but I still don't have enough. Back to the volcano it is. While I was here, I came across more journal scraps and my second monster compendium. On day 51, I got tired of using my legs, so I paid the parrots to open the quick travel hub. First stop was the dig site, where I still had no luck finding the fossilized tail. Shortly after, I stepped foot in the volcano and got a notification that the luau was being held at the beach.
The luau?
So I had to collect all of my things and travel back to Stardew. Once I got to the festival, I spoke to my wife and added a gold quality starfruit to the soup. The governor said that it was delicious.
We did it again, boys. Round of applause for Mary.
Then I went back to the farm. I always find it really satisfying when I have a bunch of things to harvest at once. On day 52, I was able to start harvesting my hops. Then I went down to the forest to gather more wood for kegs. While I was there, I bought another sweet gemberry from the traveling cart. I wanted the seed because I was curious to see if I could slowly duplicate them to have a full field one day.
One ancient seed just gave me 4 mixed seeds? What kind of game are you playing with me right now?
Speaking of full field, today was the day that I finally finished filling the greenhouse with ancient fruit. With all of the new kegs I created, I almost have a full shed. Ever since I bought the 2 auto grabbers, I've been visiting my animals a lot less. So about once a week, I go down there and pick up all of the truffles my pigs have left behind for me. That night, a new baby duck hatched, and the Stardew gods already chose a great name for me.
Zungus? Yeah, we're keeping Zungus, bro.
I woke up to a field of melons on day 53. After I harvested them, I ran up to Robin's shop to ask her to upgrade my house. This would add 2 new rooms, including a nursery. While I was in town, I stopped by Pierre's to replenish some of my melon seeds. Then I went to Clint's to crack open various geodes. I walked away with only 1 new artifact. After that, I took a trip to the Skull Caverns to look for Omni geodes. I was feeling pretty lucky today, and even found a treasure floor with a prismatic shard. On floor 45, I completed my slime slayer goal. I made it down to level 66 before I ran straight into a mummy and died.
I didn't realize how low I was. My dwarf hammer and my gold! No! You're trying to tell me not only did you take $1,000 out of my pocket, but you took almost $5,000 worth of items out of my pocket. Take that.
The air was full of a thick green fog on day 54.
Very nice.
This is known as the annual green rain. I had a lot of farming to do, so I got right to work planting my melon seeds and harvesting all of my starfruit. I even had some fruit ready in the greenhouse. About midday, I traveled to the desert to purchase some more treasure troves and some more starfruit seeds. I tried my best to take advantage of the rain by chopping down trees and collecting moss. I regret not collecting more though. On the morning of day 55, I was at Clint's shop to crack open all of the treasure troves and mystery boxes I had. I ended up with a magnet and glow ring combo, which is arguably better than just the magnet ring I had. Back at home, I focused on smelting more metals and crafting more machines. I spent the rest of the day on Ginger Island gathering wood and planting more ancient fruit. I found 2 more golden walnuts on the beach that night. I woke up on the island on day 56. Every ancient fruit I've harvested thus far has been turned right back into seeds, so I now have almost enough to cover my field. I also planted the taro root seeds and the sweet gemberry. I spent the rest of the evening in the volcano blowing up rocks. I'm looking for a mummified bat, and there is only a 0.5% chance of finding it. I was right back at it again on day 57. I fought some monsters, I got some journal scraps, and I blew up so many rocks. I've still yet to come across the mummified bat. I was feeling optimistic on day 58. I stopped by the dig site to pan in the river, and I finally pulled out the fossil I needed.
Okay.
I donated it immediately. I dedicated some more time in the volcano today, but wasn't making good progress, so I left shortly after. Then I packed up all of my things and went back to Stardew Valley. While I was in town, I asked Clint to upgrade my trash can and cracked open some golden coconuts.
Oh my god, no way.
After that, I had a bit of maintenance to do back at the farm. I started by collecting oak resin, then harvested my fruit. I continued my seed production through the night. I woke up and chose deforestation on day 59. The kegs are not going to craft themselves. Then I suddenly remembered that I had a fish pond, so I ran to the caves to catch a lava eel. I don't want any boring cheap fish in my fish pond. While I was up there, I stopped by the Adventurers Guild. I took a look at some of the rewards I got for completing the Monster Slayer goals. The burglar and the vampire ring stood out to me. I went to go collect some iron for the rest of the day. Day 60 started with wine collection. Then I took a double take on my house and it is now expanded. This was great, but I still yearned for more. So I visited Robin again and commissioned her for another house upgrade. This would add a cellar where I can hold casks and age my artisan goods. Then, I collected some truffles off the ground and put all of my animal machines in one spot. Later that night, I made a trip to the secret woods for some hardwood, and by the time I was done, all of my animal products were ready.
Shrimp.
Day 61 started very usual, with harvesting of fruits and hops around the farm. Afterward, I stopped by Pierre's and purchased a rather expensive wallpaper catalog.
Very slick. Hey, yo, what do you need this oil for? You know, actually, I don't want to know.
Later that night, I climbed into the sewers to witness an all-out brawl between Krobus and the dwarf.
Oh, they going at it. Uh-oh. Ooh, they're getting a dad lecture right now.
While I was here, I grabbed the wizard's catalog and set out to decorate my house. I tried out some of the wallpapers and chose the ones I liked, but it didn't stay like this for long. On the morning of day 62, I teleported straight to Ginger Island and found that my melon was grown.
Ooh, the melon's done. I had to show the gourmand frog.
I was rewarded with 5 golden walnuts. Next, he asked me to see a wheat grown on the farm, so I planted the wheat and some ancient fruit. I found another walnut and an ostrich egg on the way to the volcano today. It didn't take long before I blew up a pile of rocks and the bat fossil popped out.
Yes!
I took it straight to Professor Snail and collected my golden walnut. I smelted some of the ore I got along the way and decided I need to expand my crop field. After I was finished, I went all the way back to the volcano to combine my rings. I combined the magnet light ring with the burglar ring to save space in my inventory. On day 63, my cellar upgrade was complete. I harvested my hops while I waited for Robin's shop to open. Once I got there, I purchased a furniture catalog. With the furniture catalog, I now have access to a bunch of different things to decorate my house. And I spent the entire day looking through it. I settled on the starry sky theme for our bedroom and an earthy tone for the living room. On day 64, I was feeling generous, so I went around the town giving out some gifts. Then I walked in on Gus having a breakdown in the saloon. The saloon earnings were super low this month, and it's because Pam won't pay her tab.
She's kind of just like drinking for free, and like, you're kind of like enabling her. So, you maybe want to stop doing that.
Thankfully, she did come in and pay her tab after we confronted her about it.
Pam, you are an alcoholic.
Because I've given so many gifts, I also triggered a few cutscenes.
Guys, you care too much about your job, Lewis. Well, he is like kind of the mayor, so like, there's that. Ooh. Shh. Ah, very nice. Good evening, as he's asleep in his bed. That is so funny. Lewis. I'm your sleep paralysis demon. Oh, am I disturbing you? Oh, am I disturbing you? Are you trying to sleep?
That night, I was hit with a huge surprise.
Yes.
I had a pretty productive day on day 65. I started by harvesting all of the fruit in the greenhouse. Then I collected a bunch of oak resin and maple syrup from my tapper farm. I stopped by the mastery cave today and was able to unlock 2 more skill masteries. Today I chose farming and mining. Later that day I traveled to the island and put down some sprinklers I made for the expanding crop field.
I also noticed that the wheat had finished growing, so I grabbed the gourmand frog's attention. Yes, this is it! Reminds me of an old girlfriend. Aww?
In return, I got 5 more golden walnuts.
Okay, thank you.
The last crop the frog requested to see was a garlic plant. Unfortunately, I don't have access to garlic seeds right now, so I have to put that quest on hold. I went around the farm chopping down trees for the rest of the day. The wood is important, but I'm really looking for coconuts. I can trade 10 regular coconuts for 1 golden coconut. With all of the excess wood, I crafted some more kegs and placed them in the shed. Now that this one is full, I'm going to have to build a second one. I had my second melon harvest on day 66. Since I claimed farming mastery, I now have an iridium scythe. This allows me to harvest multiple crops at once. Not only is it just satisfying, but it'll save me a lot of time. I wasn't kidding about getting that second shed, and I put it right next to the first one. I went from the mountains all the way down to the beach to put down the crab pots. The only fish I have left to catch are the crab pot fish, so I need to keep an eye on them. Later that evening, I found myself in the Skull Caverns just looking for ores and loot. I had some wine to collect on day 67. I also had a bunch of starfruit ready too. Since it's so late in the season, I'm not going to replant anything. That afternoon, I visited Clint and picked up my stupid pan. Then I cracked open the golden coconuts and I had got not one, but 2 of the animal skull I needed. Back home, I put some more casks down in the cellar and started filling them with wine. It's going to take a while before I can do anything with these. I collected my animal products for the first time in a while, and I'm always surprised at the amount of truffles. I had another duck hatch today, and I named that one Lanyard. I spent the rest of the night in the saloon building friendships. Day 68 is the last day of summer. That means I need to go through all of my chests and sell all of the things that I no longer need. I typically hoard a lot of fruits and gems just in case I want to do something with them later, so now is the time to let them go. After that, I decided I wanted to buy a sheep, so I went down to Marnie's. When I got there, I walked into Shane passed out drunk on the floor.
Shane! No! What made this? What? What do you want me to do about it? This is your nephew, dog. What?
After that, it was business as usual.
I'm Pooper! Oh, hell yeah.
I had some geodes lying around, so I took them over to Clint's before he closed. I was able to donate 2 new gems. After a few more farm chores, it was time for the dance of the moonlight jellies. Emily and I stood together and watched as summer faded into fall. Day 69 was the first day of fall. I started it in Cindersap Forest gathering some wood. After that, I stopped in Pierre's shop to get a load of cranberries and pumpkins. I also bought a few grapes and artichoke to sprinkle in too. Then it was off to Robin's to get a shed upgrade immediately after it was finished being built. The rest of the night was spent frantically planting my seeds. I passed out in the field that night. I started day 70 by planting all of the seeds I didn't get to plant last night. Then I went back to Pierre's to get some speed grow fertilizer to put on the cranberries. After I was done tending to the farm, I could take a trip to Ginger Island. I went straight to the Bone Museum to donate the animal skull. The Bone Museum was now complete, and I was compensated with 6 more walnuts.
Nice.
Now I finally have enough to enter the Golden Walnut Room. Inside was a man named Mr. Chi. On the left side of the room was a panel of weekly challenges to earn Chi gems. On the right was a shop to spend the Chi gems for rare prizes. Even farther right is a scroll to perfection.
Woo! A third of the way there, baby!
Day 71 started with my usual daily farm chores. Today was the day that I decided I was going to catch the anglerfish, the last legendary fish left. On the way to the spot, I donated some ancient fruit to the missing bundle in the old Joja store. Once I got to the spot, it took a while to hook, but after I hooked it, I caught it on the first try. This was definitely the easiest of the legendary fish. While I was in the mountains, I visited the Witch's Swamp and caught a gold star void salmon, just what I needed. After I got it, I took it straight to the missing bundle. I got kind of tired of doing all this running around town, so I went up to Robin's and bought a horse stable from her. When I got home, I put the fish in his new tank and crafted some more casks for the cellar. The rest of the night was spent in the mines gathering copper. On day 72, I geared up to plunge Skull Caverns. Do you remember the quest board in Mr. Chi's Walnut Room? Well, I took a quest to get to floor 100 in the Skull Caverns without eating any food. I was way in over my head for this one. On the bright side, certain slimes will drop health points if you kill them. I ended up finding a prehistoric floor on level 33 and got a dinosaur egg. On floor 62, I completed my mummy monster slayer goal. I got all the way down to floor 65 before I died to a slime.
Really?
After I got home, I incubated my dinosaur, then went to bed. Day 73 was a good luck day, so I figured I'd give the caverns another go. I went in with no strategies, just vibes. On floor 12, I found some iridium bars. and on floor 22, I found a rare artifact I needed for the museum. Right at floor 50, my speed boost wore off, and it was all downhill from there. I made it all the way down to floor 78, but was attacked and killed by a serpent.
Oh my god, life is pain and suffering.
Harvey stole my diamonds from me. Again! I married him on my first save, but I hate him so bad in this one, I might go back and get a divorce. On the bright side, my shed was done being built, so I was able to move my kegs inside. I had a bunch of oak resin waiting for me on day 74, and of course I made some kegs with it. Then, I went down to Clint's shop to crack open some treasure troves and omni geodes. In the geodes were a bunch of new minerals, and I was able to make great progress in the museum. While I was in town, I stopped by the old Joja store to donate a prismatic shard to the missing bundle. When I got home, I realized that my horse was there waiting for me.
Dilbert.
Later that afternoon, I went down to the forest to collect some wood. And what do you think I did with that wood? On day 75, my first round of cranberries were ready to be collected. I went into town and sold them directly to Pierre. After that, I went to the mines to look for an earth crystal. I was only one short of making a mountain obelisk. I found it pretty quick and immediately left to see the wizard.
Oh. Don't proudly tell people that.
I briefly forgot about my crab pots once again. I'm only missing 3 more fish, and they're pretty common, so I just have to wait. Later that evening, I harvested the fruit from my greenhouse. Then I went to the desert to chop down some trees. I worked on smelting some iridium bars on day 76. Then it dawned on me that I have a whole separate farm on Ginger Island that I could be profiting from. After harvesting all of the fruit, I went into the volcano to search for more dragon teeth. I'll need 10 of them to create the island obelisk, so I want to get started now. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to find any today.
Before bed, I stopped in Mr. Chee's walnut room to accept a challenge that I know I won't even start.
I've just got other things on my mind right now. I warped straight home on day 77 and I collected a bunch of purple things. Then I went down to the mines to gather some copper. Halfway through the day I remembered that the quarry exists, so I switched gears and started collecting ore here. While I was up there, I stopped by the Adventurers Guild to see how much I had left on my Monster Slayer goals. 58 Void Spirits, 35 Skeleton, 3 Duggies, 18 Rock Crabs, 29 Pepper Rex, 8 Serpents, and 26 Magma Sprites. I spent the rest of my day between floors 80 and 120 to kill as many Void Spirits as possible. Day 78 was a good luck day, so I decided I would take a dive into Skull Caverns. I need to kill monsters for my Monster Slayer goals, and I need Omni Geodes for minerals. I reached my Serpent goal before 9 AM. Nice! Before I left the desert, I bought some treasure troves. After I fell asleep that night, I became a parent. I cycled through the list of names, and I didn't really like any of them. But after looking at this one for long enough, I just shortened it and called her Nora.
Emily, are you good?
I had some more crops to harvest on day 79. I'm starting to get the vibe that this is a farming game. I cracked open a bunch of stuff at Clint's, but only walked away with 1 new mineral. That afternoon, I pulled a shrimp out of my crab pot, and that put me 1 fish closer to completing my collection. Then, I wandered to the forest to gather some blackberries. While I was here, I stopped by the Mastery Cave. The last mastery I had left to claim was combat. After that, all 5 candles lit up around the plaques, and I got a message from Grandpa. I had more cranberries ready on day 80. Just listen to this. After some mundane farm chores, I went to the beach to check on my crab pots. Then I foraged for corals in the tide pool. I need 10 of them for the beach obelisk. I thought I had enough, but I was one short. Thankfully, I had some on Ginger Island, so I made a short trip to grab them. That night, I was able to get the beach obelisk from the wizard's tower. Before I went to bed, I realized that my wine was finished, so I had to collect that first. I made a fantastic profit from it too. On day 81, the wine in my cellar had aged to a silver quality. I'm going to let it continue aging, but I need to take 1 for the missing bundle. I had a ton of oak resin to harvest today, and of course that prompts me frantically knocking down trees to make more kegs. Today was the day that I made the switch to ancient fruit wine instead of starfruit wine. I didn't realize that the value was much less than Starfruit wine, but I don't have to keep buying seeds, so maybe it works out. I don't know. I finished the day by taking my wine to the missing bundle. Day 82 was surprisingly unproductive. I went to Ginger Island and entered the volcano looking for magma sprites and dragon teeth. I did find both of those things today, but didn't meet the quotas I needed. On day 83, I woke up on Ginger Island. The first thing I did was harvest ancient fruit. Then I harvested the fruit trees near the beach. Now that I have a banana, I can take it over to the jungle and put it up as an offering. After that, it was back to the volcano.
Another bat today? That's crazy. Blue-green frog egg? Another bat, dude? What the heck?
At 6 p.m., I finally reached my Magma Sprite Slayer goal. I was satisfied with this progress, so I left the island.
Oh man, I love it when the crop fairy comes and sprinkles her dust on stuff that's already grown.
I had a huge pumpkin harvest on day 84. After I finished harvesting the pumpkins, I attended the Stardew Valley Fair. I entered my high-quality items into the Lagrange display and waited. Of course I won first place!
Woo!
I ended up buying a rare crow from the shop with my prize points. After that, I went to go double my worth and... Y'all never saw that. I had my third cranberry harvest on day 85. Once the clock hit 9, I ran to Pierre's to buy more seeds for the empty space on my farm. I decided on buying artichoke seeds because I didn't have enough time to plant more pumpkins.
Nice. Alright. Hell yeah.
I spent the rest of the day planting my artichoke. On day 86, I went to the chicken coop and found that my dinosaur had hatched.
Nice. Grong? Oh yeah.
Later that morning, I went to the desert to look for some cactus fruit. I'm still missing the 10 I need for the desert obelisk. In the afternoon, I went down to the mines. I was staying between floors 70 and 80 so that I could complete my skeleton monster slayer goal. I finally killed enough by 12:40 and I tucked into bed as soon as I could. I ran straight to Clint's on day 87 hoping that one of these frozen geodes holds the minerals I need to finish the museum. I walked away with one new mineral. Down at the beach, I checked my crab pots and had finally caught the lobster I needed to finish my fish collection. Now, not only do I have a complete collection, but by tomorrow I will have earned my 6th star drop. Later that afternoon, I took a ride out to the desert to look for artifact spots. There was only one I was missing, and it could either be found in the ground or in a treasure trove. I took my chances and actually found it.
W! W! Oh my gosh, literally what I came here for.
Even though I'm not fully done, it felt good to donate the last artifact.
When you defeat an enemy, they explode. That's kind of dope, actually.
I only needed to slay 2 more Dougies, so I made sure to take care of that before the night ended. On the morning of day 88, I received a star drop in the mail from good old Willie. After that, it was wine time. I had a bunch of ancient fruit ready for me too. It was just starting to hit me that winter was around the corner, so I spent some time clearing out the grass on my farm to put in the silo. That afternoon, I made some more kegs and continued filling up the 2nd shed. There may even be a 3rd shed in my future. I spent the rest of the day in the mines hunting for geodes. I was really focused on completing the museum because I was kind of worried I wouldn't be able to do it. I went around town giving out some more gifts on day 89. While in town, I dropped in Clint's to crack some geodes. I found one more mineral that I needed. I spent the night in the caves looking for geodes. On day 90, I had a line in front of my door, longer than the line at the mall on Black Friday. It began with Jody, and she invited me over to her house for dinner tonight. The catch is that I have to bring the food with me. Y'all might as well just come to eat at my house. Next in line was Gus, and he came over to thank me for being his friend. Then he gave me this jukebox to listen to. Gus is great. After they left, I continued with my usual boring farm chores. Then I went to Ginger Island. I did more of the same boring farm chores over there. I finished with that around 1 p.m. Then I went to the volcano to enchant the rest of my tools. On my pickaxe I got efficient, on my axe I got shaving, and on my hoe I got archaeologist. After that, I visited the desert to collect more cactus fruit. I ended up only having 8, so I have to put off building the obelisk again. To end the night, I went down to the mines to look for gold. I woke up to fantastic luck on day 91. I took that good luck straight to the volcano to find more dragon teeth. Fortunately, I did find one. I also picked up another journal scrap. It was right back to the volcano on day 92. Unfortunately, today was not as lucky as yesterday. After spending half of the day in the volcano, I made it past floor 5 and still no dragon teeth. So I took a break for the day and went back to Stardew. Back at the farm, I had a few artichoke to harvest. I spent the rest of the day in the mines looking for void spirits. I still have a lot ahead of me to complete the monster slayer goal. On day 93, the rest of the artichoke popped up for me to grab. Then I just went back to the mines to grind for ore and monsters. Around 11 a.m., I was able to reach the crab monster slayer goal. Later that day, I reached the void spirit monster slayer goal as well. I was satisfied with the regular mines for now, so I traveled to the Skull Caverns. I teleported out right in time and made it home safe and sound. I stopped by the traveling cart for the first time in a while on day 94, but I was just browsing. I went to Clint's to crack open some geodes, but to my surprise, Clint wasn't there. How dare he not work 7 days a week? I went back to Skull Caverns today on the hunt for pepper rexes. They have a pretty low chance to spawn on regular floors, so I will need to get lucky and find a prehistoric floor. On floor 16, I came across a treasure floor holding a purple slime egg. I don't think I came across a single pepper rex, but I did come across a ton of great loot. I teleported home at 1:40 in the morning. I had every single farm chore to do on day 95. I started by harvesting my last cranberries of the season. Then I harvested all of the ancient fruit I had. After that, I made my way down to the animals and picked up all of the truffles on the ground. Finally, it was time to collect the wine. Later that afternoon, I traveled to the Skull Caverns to keep looking for pepper rex. To make sure I didn't miss any of the prehistoric floors, I didn't jump down any holes. I only took ladders. This made for a much slower descent, but in my head it was the only logical way to do it. I found a rain totem in a treasure chest on floor 36. This would have come in handy like a year ago? Then I got a notification that the Spirits Eve festival was being held tonight, but I skipped it in the name of Pepper Rex. Day 96 was the last day of fall. I need to complete all of my chores and sell all of my goodies. I entered the barn this morning to see an ostrich.
Ooh. What? I thought that said Paul at first. So we're gonna name him Paul.
I collected all of the animal products and made sure to put the dinosaur egg into the mayonnaise machine. Then I set out to Clint's shop with 77 Omni Geodes. If I somehow can't find the 3 remaining minerals I need out of this big stack, I'm going to delete this save right here and right now. After cracking open 60 geodes and spending 1,500 gold, I finally had everything I needed for the museum. I officially have all 7 star drops.
Let's go.
I ended up selling all of the extras back to Clint and going to the desert to find cactus fruit. I was still 1 short.
Is there seriously not another freaking cactus fruit anywhere?
Story of my life. Later that afternoon, I sailed back to Ginger Island to visit the volcano again. I still need more dragon teeth before I can make the island obelisk. Day 97 was the first day of winter, but you'd never know it because we're on a tropical island. I really need to wrap up the search for dragon teeth, so I went to the volcano early today with a lot of determination. I ended up getting really lucky and finding 5 of them in one go. Now I have enough for the obelisk, so I raced home as quickly as I could. I grabbed my horse and my materials and I set out to the wizard's tower. Once inside, I gave him a gift and purchased the, wait a minute. I purchased the island obelisk. To finish off the night, I stopped by the missing bundle again to donate the dinosaur mayonnaise. This was the last thing I needed to complete it. That night, the Junimo danced over the building. Something good will happen. Day 98 started out in the Cinder Sap Woods. I'm trying to gather some more wood for kegs and casks. Since it was a Tuesday, I needed to get to the oasis to purchase the cactus fruit from Sandy. This is my last chance to get it before the end of the 200 days. I also made sure to deforest the desert while I was in the area. Back in Stardew, I purchased the last obelisk from the wizard. What I had failed to find out was that I needed the farm obelisk, and that one had to be planted on Ginger Island. That afternoon, I went to the secret woods to chop hardwood. I didn't have anything to do that night, so I took a shot at the Skull Caverns, and this time I actually found a prehistoric floor.
Bingo.
Unfortunately, this floor only held 3 dinosaurs. Day 99 was a fantastic luck day, so I took it as a sign that I needed to go back to the Skull Caverns. I grabbed my bombs and used my fancy new obelisk to get to the desert. I want to mention that I came across a whopping 5 dinosaurs today. That's more than the day I found the prehistoric floor. Also, due to luck, I found 3 prismatic shards. I teleported out that night at 12:40. I found myself at the doorstep of the Adventurers Guild on day 100. I was curious to see how many Pepper Rex I was away from my goal. After learning that the number was 16, I shook my head and restarted the day. I didn't have any faith that I could kill all 16 Pepper Rex in one day, but I had nothing better to do. I got pretty far today and even stumbled upon a loot chest on floor 33.
Yes.
Inside was an auto petter. I was hyped. The clock struck 4 p.m. and I had only seen 2 Pepper Rex, so I decided to call it. I spent the night in between my farm and the island farm harvesting ancient fruit. I went to bed at 11 p.m. and that was it. Or so I thought.
What? Hello?
I couldn't begin to describe how upset I was about losing this day and losing the auto petter. Oh, but there's more! In an attempt to recreate my day as similarly as possible, this time my OBS crashed, and I was left with this frozen screen for the entire day. So I just don't have the actual footage for the last day. But trust me, I recreated it to the best of my ability. This is what my farms ended up looking like at the end of 200 days. Now let's take a look back at the goals I set for myself. By the end of this 200 days, I wanted to find all of the star drops, catch all of the fish,
Gain access to the walnut room.
fill both of the museums, build all of the obelisks, complete the missing bundle, complete all of the Monster Slayer goals, and complete the Skill Mastery Cave.
I also took a peek at the Perfection Scroll in Mr. Chi's walnut room. I got 48% by the end of this 200 days.
I hope you guys enjoyed this video, because I had a really fun time making it, but it took me so long. Please like and subscribe to my channel to support me so I can keep doing stuff like this. Would you like to see me complete perfection on this save? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching.